You're now listening to the Engage the Rockies podcast, your go-to podcast for local and state issues concerning Colorado.
Hello, Colorado. This is the Engage the Rockies podcast weekend review for June 24th to June 28th. This week's episode is a special 2024 primary election edition. We'll cover the top stories from this week's primary elections across the state of Colorado. If you'd like to see the results and breakdown in detail, please visit the Colorado Secretary of State's website for the most up-to-date numbers. All information being covered on this episode is current as of the evening of Thursday, June 27th. In the Congressional District 4 vacancy race to replace former Representative Ken Buck, Republican Greg Lopez won overwhelmingly with 98,393 votes, or 58.3% of total votes. The next closest challenger was Tricia Calvarisi with 58,220 votes, or 34.5% of total votes. Lopez will finish out Ken Buck's term until a new candidate wins in November and is sworn in. In the Republican primary for that same Congressional District 4, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert won in a landslide victory in a crowded six-way race. Boebert received 53,573 votes, or 43.5% of the total votes. The next closest challenger was Jerry Sonnenberg with 17,571 votes, or 14.2% of the total votes. Congresswoman Boebert will face Democrat Tricia Calvarisi in November. Calvarisi won a three-way Democrat primary race with 22,437 votes, or 45.1% of the total votes. In Congresswoman Boebert's current district of Congressional District 3, Jeff Hurd won a six-way race with 36,288 votes, or 41.2% of the total votes. The next closest challenger was state GOP party-backed Ron Hanks, who received 25,016 votes, or 28.4% of total votes. Hurd will face Democrat challenger Adam Frisch in November. Frisch was unopposed and received 51,259 votes. Frisch nearly unseated Congresswoman Boebert 2 years ago in one of the closest federal races in the nation. Here locally in El Paso County, the big winner of the night to fill Congressman Doug Lamborn's seat was former talk show host Jeff Crank, who won his Republican primary race against state GOP party chair Dave Williams. Crank received 56,437 votes, or 65.2% of the total votes. Williams received 30,101 votes, or 34.7% of total votes. Crank will face the Democrat primary winner between River Gasson and Joe Reagan. As of the time of this reporting, only 482 votes separate the two. Gasson has 20,717 votes, and Reagan has 20,232 votes. There's roughly a 1% difference between the two campaigns, and if Reagan were to get in last-minute votes, that put him within 0.5% of an automatic recount would trigger. In Congressional District 8, one of the biggest election wins of the night was achieved by State Representative Gabe Evans. Evans won the CD8 primary by a landslide 34,361 votes, or 77.5% of the total votes. Evans' opponent was former state representative and state GOP party-backed Janet Joshi, who received 10,046 votes, or just 22.4% of total votes. Evans will face first-term Democrat Yadira Caravejo, who was unopposed in her primary in the newly created Congressional District 8 general election. In other highly watched and contested races around the state, State Representative Lisa Frizzell won handedly in her GOP primary race for State Senate District 2. Senate District 2 was an open seat due to current State Senator Jim Smallwood being term limited. Frizzell won her race with 15,523 votes, or 66.2% of the total votes. Her opponent, Tim Arvidsson, received 7,942 votes, or 33.7% of the total votes. Another highly watched race was here in El Paso County in Senate District 10. Current Republican State Senator Larry Liston was running for re-election in a three-way primary. Liston won overwhelmingly with 12,452 votes, or 60.7% of the total votes. David Stiver finished second with 22% of the vote, and El Paso County Chairwoman Vicki Tonkins' husband, Rex Tonkins, finished last with just 17.2% of the total votes. In State Senate District 12, Republican County Commissioner Stan Vanderwerf won his primary race against El Paso County Republican Party Secretary Adriana Cuva. Vanderwerf won with 9,076 votes, or 59.5% of the total votes, while Cuva finished with 6,174 votes, or 40.4%. Vanderwerf will face Democrat State Representative Mark Snyder, who was unopposed in the Democrat primary. In the two most highly watched state house races this cycle, Democrat primary voters went with more moderate candidates than the current elected officials running for re-election. Controversial Denver Democrat Representative Tim Hernandez lost his primary race to more moderate Democrat Cecilia Espinoza in the House District 4 Democrat primary. Hernandez was originally appointed to his position after winning a vacancy committee race last year. Espinoza received 5,572 votes, or 53.1%, while Hernandez received 4,908 votes, or 46.8% of the votes. Denver Democrat State Representative Elizabeth Epps of House District 6 also lost her primary race overwhelmingly to political newcomer Sean Camacho. Camacho won with a commanding 61.2% of the vote to Epps' 38.7%. In a very rare move, Governor Jared Polis inserted himself into this race by endorsing Camacho recently. In related news, the move to oust State Party GOP Chair Dave Williams is heating up. On Wednesday, El Paso County GOP Vice Chair Todd Watkins submitted petitions from 25% of the roughly 400 Central Committee members to request a special meeting to seek Williams' removal. We're trying to revive this party to get more membership and promote good governance, Watkins said. Watkins points to the fact that Williams used Republican resources to promote his primary race against Jeff Crank. Williams ended up losing the primary by more than 30 points. Additionally, most of the candidates the state party endorsed and contested GOP primaries also lost. Watkins said he wouldn't have moved forward with the petition had the state party and Williams performed well. The petition to oust Williams started circulating earlier in June in response to anti-LGBTQ pride emails and social media posts from Williams, including one calling on people to burn all the pride flags this June. The messages were a final provocation for those Republicans exhausted by Williams' already tumultuous tenure at the helm of an embattled and diminished Colorado GOP. Watkins said, under Republican state party rules, a special meeting must occur within 30 days. It would take a 60% vote of the Central Committee to remove a chair. There are about 400 people on that committee. Those are your top stories for the week of June 24th through June 28th. Please tune in each Friday for your weekend review from Engage the Rockies. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe for more great content. If you'd like the full articles from the stories we read today, sign up to our email list at engagetherockies.com and we'll send you our show notes each week. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Engage the Rockies podcast, your go-to podcast for local and state issues concerning Colorado.